Hi guys, welcome back to Empower Tutorials. This is your master teacher, Dr. Sonam. So how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Empower Tutorials. And here I am to finally finish and complete the last part of our chapter that we have started in biology, that is about circulation. So there are about few basic concepts that we are left to do and complete in that chapter. So let's just go ahead and get that chapter done. So I hope you all remember everything that we have done in this chapter so far. So we'll just go forward and check everything that we have done so far. And then we will complete the remaining, a very small part of the chapter that is remaining, which is going to deal, to begin with, it's going to deal with all the basic parts of the circulatory system. Okay, we have already seen that. Now a very small part of it is remaining. So we'll just go through that quickly. Okay. So yes, let's get started. Okay, as we always start with a quote. So here comes a quote which is stated by Aristotle. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good and positive attitude while waiting. So now, we when once we've started some work, okay, we are very anxious, very anxiously and impatiently waiting for the results, right? So you don't really like that period of patience. So you might feel, it's such a bad phase, it's a bitter phase. But once that patience ka period is over and you reach the result of it, okay. For example, you've given probably an entrance exam or something, and that period that you have to go through and wait till your results, you find that bitter. But the fruit which comes out of it, that is your outcome, your result of the exam, is going to be sweet, right? So now, what you have to do in that time period is stay positive, stay calm, feel good about yourself, feel positive about everything around you. So keeping that kind of attitude is going to make your patience wala phase also very good. Okay. So do not only focus on the result, but also enjoy and keep a good attitude during that patience wala period as well. Right. So we as students and teachers also, of course, we have been students too. So we definitely go through this patience wala phase in many phases of our life for many things. So let's keep this thought in mind. All right. Yes. Now going further, so circulation of blood in the heart. Now we have seen everything about the heart, the parts of the heart, the aorta, the walls, the atria, the ventricle. We've gone through everything of this. So now this is just a gist of how the blood circulation takes place. Okay, we know that we have a left ventricle, right ventricle, or left atria, right atria. So now what happens is we have deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood. Okay, deoxygenated is nothing but impure blood. Now just remember, this oxygenation of the blood happens in the lungs. ठीक है. अब what we are dealing with here is blood कहाँ से आता है, कैसे purify होता है, and कहाँ से pass होता है. Now we know it has 4 chambers from where it has to pass. Left atria, right atria, left ventricle, right ventricle. So these are the 4 chambers जहाँ से blood pass होगा. How it passes, that is what we are going to see here. So the deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium from the आसपास के all the veins and capillaries, and then it will pass to the right ventricle. ठीक है, right atrium के नीचे होगा right ventricle. So this is the deoxygenated blood. Remember, right side पे deoxygenated blood enters the right atria, then goes to the right ventricle. Then from the right ventricle, it is going to the lungs for getting oxygenated. ठीक है, lungs में जाके blood purify हो जाता है. Now, this oxygenated blood will then enter the left atrium from the lungs, and then from the left atrium, of course, it will go to the left ventricle, and then from the left ventricle, it will get supplied to all the different parts of the body. All right, are we clear with this? Right atrium में deoxygenated blood आता है, वहां से right ventricle में जाता है. Right ventricle से the blood goes to the lungs for the process of purification. ठीक है, purify होने के बाद purified blood, that is oxygenated blood, will enter the left atrium. वहां purified blood जाएगा left atrium से left ventricle में जाएगा, and then from there it will get supplied to the other parts of the body. All right, are we clear with this? Okay. Okay. Now, whenever we go to a doctor, a physician, for just getting a general checkup done or anything, basically, you observe the doctor checks your pulse over here, right? Or let's say doctor checks something over here in your hand, right? So that thing, what he checks, is known as a pulse. Okay. Now this pulse, that is the movement of the blood, okay, that can be seen in 2-3 places in our body. Wherever the doctor feels the arteries, there he can feel that pulse. Okay. but the most common place where this pulse is checked is the arterial pulse, which is over here. Okay, in the wrist. So the wrist pulse is taken care of. Okay. So now what is a pulse? Since we have started with the pulse, let's get done with the pulse first. So a pulse is a wave of distension which passes along the arteries following the ventricular systole. Now in our previous lecture, we have seen about the ventricular systole and the ventricular diastole and what is systole, what is diastole. We've already gone through that. Let's not get into it now. So ventricular systole के टाइम पे जो एक blood distension होता है, जो blood passage का एक wave बनता है, that wave is known as the pulse. Okay, that distension of the blood or that wave of blood is known as a pulse. That is what the doctor will feel here. ठीक है, अब उसमें ना whatever body conditions we have, like for example, I'll just give you, in fever the pulse runs very fast. Okay, so that is what the doctor checks कि pulse कैसा चल रहा है. Okay, so that is the pulse which the doctor checks. Next thing is the heartbeat. Now what is a heartbeat? ये जो यहाँ देख रहे हो, this wave that you forget the structure of the heart is not like this. Okay, just forget, just a pictorial representation. You see this wave here. Okay, so now this in detail it has a P wave, a Q wave, R wave, S wave. Now that is all that is seen in a ECG, just to give you general knowledge, but let's not get into the details of that. All you should know is this wave that you see is the heartbeat. Okay, so the human heart beats 72 times in 1 minute. Okay, each heartbeat has two phases, the systole and the diastole. Now we have seen this. Okay, we have already seen this in the last class. Now coming to what is cardiac cycle. It is the sequence of events which takes place during the completion of one heartbeat. Now completion of one heartbeat में मतलब क्या हो रहा है, systole हो रहा है और diastole हो रहा है, correct? So that part, that completion of one heartbeat is known as the cardiac cycle. ठीक है, अब जैसे मैंने पल्स का बोला, बढ़ता है कम होता है, same thing happens with the heartbeat. It increases, it decreases. So that is termed as conditions known as tachycardia and bradycardia. Tachycardia मतलब जब heartbeat 90 से ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है. Now we have seen that 72 is a normal thing. So when it increases more than 90, it is known as tachycardia, and when it reduces less than 60, then it is known as bradycardia. Okay, we need to keep these terms in mind. Going ahead, what is a pacemaker? Okay, what is pace? Pace basically means speed, right? Now what is a pacemaker here when we are talking about? So there is the sinoatrial node, the SA node. Now we have studied about the SA node definitely in the sections of the heart or the parts of the heart when we have seen. So the SA node, okay, which is present in the heart somewhere over here, is known as the pacemaker of the heart. Okay, it takes care of all the impulses which run from the heart or to the heart. Okay, that is the job of a pacemaker. So the sinoatrial node, which is generally known as the SA node or abbreviated as SA node, it is present in the right atrium and it is responsible to initiate the heartbeat by generating all the impulses. Okay, that is the SA node, and that is the function of the SA node, you can say, or of the pacemaker. So this SA node is known as the pacemaker of the heart. All right. Now, what is an artificial pacemaker? Now, what happens is in people with heart conditions, ठीक है, जिनके सर्जरीज हुए होते हैं, जिनको हार्ट से रिलेटेड बहुत सारे कंडीशंस होते हैं, कुछ सिस्टमिक इलनेसेस होते हैं, सो उनका SA नोड इज नॉट फंक्शनल, यू कैन से. ठीक है, तो अब उनका हार्ट चलेगा कैसे? राइट नाउ SA node, the main function is to generate and maintain impulses. अब heart impulses अगर initiate नहीं करेगा, maintain नहीं करेगा, तो it won't beat, right? So now we need something artificial to put from the outside so that that impulse thing keeps going on, वो maintenance चलता रहे. So then in such patients, there is an artificial pacemaker which is placed in the heart. So what you see here in this structure, in the diagram here, this is an artificial pacemaker which is placed in the person's heart. ठीक है, इसका proper surgery वगैरह होता है जिसमें the doctors externally they place a pacemaker in the body of the patient. All right, got it? What is an artificial pacemaker? Just keep this in mind. What you need to know importantly is the natural pacemaker is the SA node present in the right atrium. All right. Okay. Now there are two types of basic circulation. First one is the pulmonary circulation, which we have usually seen. That is pulmonary. We know it is always related to the lungs. So pulmonary circulation is the circulation that is with regards to the lungs. It will start with the pulmonary artery, okay, and then it will end with the pulmonary vein. ठीक है, सेम थिंग इज हैपनिंग हियर, प्यूरिफिकेशन ऑफ ब्लड जो हो रहा है दैट इज हैपनिंग इन द लंग्स, ठीक है. इट इज स्टार्टिंग विद द राइट वेंट्रिकल and it is ending to the left atrium. Okay, that is all you need to know. And next type of circulation is the systemic circulation, the regular circulation that we have seen, which starts with the aorta from the left ventricle. All right, just keep these basic things in mind. Nobody's going to ask you about actually basic types of circulation, but all you need to know is there are two types of circulation. One is the pulmonary one, which is with regards to the lungs, and the other is the systemic circulation, also known as major circulation. Okay. Okay, now going forward, blood vessels. Now you need to know these are certain important or basic blood vessels, you can say, that you need to know. Now this is a picture taken from your textbook itself, so you should go through all these and just keep them in mind, make abbreviations for it, make mnemonics for it, but just remember these are important things to be kept in mind. Can come as an answer, it can come as a MCQ, it is important from point of view of entrance as well, so please go through this. All right, so now let's start with the heart. We have dealt with the blood vessels of the heart, but just let's quickly brush it through. Blood vessels entering the heart, anterior vena cava, posterior vena cava. This we have seen. Anterior is the upper part, and then we have the posterior vena cava. It is also known as superior and inferior, right? So anterior vena cava, posterior vena cava, and then we have the pulmonary veins. Okay? These are the blood vessels which are entering the heart. Now, blood vessels which are leaving the heart are the pulmonary artery and the aorta. All right, this we have already seen in our earlier classes for the heart sessions. Now coming to next, the blood vessels of the liver. Now blood vessels entering the liver are hepatic artery and hepatic portal vein. Hepatic is nothing but with regards to the liver, right? जैसे हम pulmonary बोलते हैं is related to lungs, so similarly hepatic is related to liver. Now blood vessels entering the liver are hepatic artery and hepatic portal vein. Blood vessels leaving the liver, ऊपर वाले जो थे they were entering the liver. Now the blood vessels leaving the liver are hepatic veins. Okay, just keep this in mind, very easy to remember. There is going to be no confusion, but you need to keep these in mind. All right, next thing is the blood vessels entering the kidney is the renal artery, blood vessel leaving the kidney is the renal vein. Simple, easy. All right, okay. Now, what is blood pressure? I'm sure all of you know this. Every time we visit a doctor, एक basic blood pressure का checkup होता ही है. जैसे pulse का होता है, वैसे blood pressure का भी होता है. So, what is blood pressure? It is the pressure exerted by the blood on the walls of the arteries. Now, there is gushing blood which is flowing in our body. Okay, in thousands and millions of the blood vessels which are present in our body. So, ये इतना gushing quantity of blood is definitely going to exert some pressure on the blood vessels, right? So this pressure which the blood exerts on the walls of the arteries is known as the blood pressure. This column of blood is known as blood pressure. Okay, it has two limits, upper limit and lower limit. Basically, blood pressure is measured in upper limit and lower limit. So whenever you are going to give calculation or say measurement of the blood pressure, it is supposed to have two values, the upper limit and the lower limit. Okay, so upper limit is known as the systolic blood pressure, lower limit is known as the diastolic blood pressure, right? Systolic is when fresh blood is pushing through the arteries during ventricular contractions. Okay, and diastolic is when the wave of blood has flown over. Wave of blood जब पूरा flow हो जाता है, उसके बाद जो pressure होता है that is diastolic. और जब start होता है, जब contraction होते हैं, that is the systolic blood pressure. All right. Now normal basic जो blood pressure रहता है that is 120/80. Okay, we say 120/80 is the normal blood pressure. 120/80 means what? 120 is the systolic pressure. 120 एक fixed value है. 120/80 is a fixed value, but it can range between 100 to 140. All right, and diastolic जो हम 120/80 बोल रहे हैं, so 80 becomes diastolic and उसका range होता है 60 to 80. ठीक है, ये normal regular range होता है. Now, whenever there is rise in this pressure, ठीक है, anything going beyond 140/90 is termed as high blood pressure. We say, right, ये patient को high blood pressure है, this patient has high blood pressure, high BP. So that term medically is termed as hypertension. Okay, it is termed as hypertension. In layman language, nothing but high BP. All right, so anything going above 140/90 is termed as blood pressure. Okay, this is basically the machine via which the blood pressure is measured. Okay, Next thing, now there is something known as the lymphatic system. Okay, we have seen what is lymph. Lymph is again another fluid which is present in our body. So that is about the lymph. Now, what is the composition of lymph? It has a cellular part and it has a non-cellular part. अब cellular part में क्या आ जाता है? Cells आ जाते हैं, which are leukocytes. Leukocytes are nothing but white blood cells. Yes. And non-cellular part में क्या आता है? Or now it's a solute, right? It's a say fluid of the body. So of course it's going to have a lot of water. It has water and solids which are going to be present in the form of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates and all of that. Okay. So you need to remember cellular part में it is going to majorly have the white blood cells. And non-cellular part में majorly it is going to consist of water. Okay. Now functions of the lymph are nutritive functions, okay, drainage functions, absorption, and defense. You have to keep this in mind. NAD2, remember it as NAD2. N is for nutrition, A is for absorption, D is drainage and defense. Okay, you can see in this here, this is basically the lymphatic system. कहाँ lymph organs होते हैं? That is what is shown in this diagram over here. There are lymph nodes as well, which are present in our body. So that is about the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes क्या होते हैं? They are nodular structures which are present. And whenever our body goes through infection or there is some problem with our body, so these cells which are present in the lymph nodes or the lymph which is present, the fluid, what happens is now WBCs are present, right? Cells are present. So they react to inflammation or they react to any infection. So infection को react कैसे करते हैं? They show inflammation. Inflammation means what? Swelling. तो जो lymph nodes होते हैं, जो मैं बोल रही हूँ nodular structures they will start swelling up. तो डॉक्टर आपने नोटिस किया होगा इधर इधर टच करके चेक करता है, यहाँ चेक करता है, right? So here there are the lymph nodes which are present, which help us in knowing whether there is any kind of infection in the body. Indirectly, you can say. Okay. Now again, spleen is another major important part of our body. It's a major organ of our body. It is again a lymphatic organ. That is why it comes under the lymphatic system. It is reddish brown in color and is situated in the abdomen behind the stomach and the left kidney. Okay, this is important. The location of the spleen is important. It is located towards the left side behind the abdomen. Now, what is important with regards to spleen is the functions of the spleen. Okay, it acts as a blood reservoir. Blood reservoir मतलब क्या? Suppose you gone through accident या कुछ trauma हो गया या कुछ हो गया, excessive blood loss हो गया. So then this spleen is going to play a major role in causing, or you can say in causing clotting, और जो अंदर उसके stored blood रहता है वो release कर देता है. Okay, so that blood bleeding and all whatever has happened that gets covered up. So that is why we say it acts as a blood reservoir. Okay. Next thing is it produces lymphocytes. We have seen lymphocytes are the cells. It destroys the worn out red blood cells. Red blood cells we have seen they have a lifespan or life cycle of 120 days. So जो worn out हो जाते हैं, जो काम के नहीं होते, it helps in destroying those cells. And it also produces RBCs in an embryo. When the baby is not yet born, when it is still in the embryo form, it is the spleen which is the organ which helps in producing the RBCs. Okay, so that is about the spleen. So here we come to the end of our topic of circulation, right? So we have seen all about the heart. We have seen what is blood. We have seen the different fluid, that is the lymph. We have spoken about hemoglobin. We have seen the parts, the chambers of the heart. We have seen what are valves, how there is gushing flow of blood in the heart. So that is in a gist about circulation. It is a very important chapter, guys, from point of view of your regular exams as well, from point of view of entrance, MCQs, everything. It is a very, very important chapter. All right. Please go through all the sessions of the chapter. If you have any doubts, do post them in the comment sections. If you have not liked and subscribed our channel yet, please go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe Empower Tutorials so that you have maximum access to all our videos. We do have MCQ videos as well, so kindly go through the channel and you will find all the videos. Okay, guys. So I'll be soon coming up with other videos. We'll be continuing with different topics. So till then, I'll see you. Bye-bye.